Good morning and welcome to Morning Vibe. My name is Remmy Majala and thank you so much for joining us today. I mean, it's a sunny morning, so I am already loving the mood and the weather, and I am really appreciating that there's some heat from all this cold. Now, I always love to put you on, and I keep telling you that every other Monday to Thursday, I'm putting you on to something amazing. But I need you to believe me, because you know what? I will be part of the 21st edition of the Stanchart Marathon happening on the 27th of October. Now, it begins from the Southern Bypass Road, and then, it goes to Uhuru Gardens. And you know what? I was challenging some of my colleagues that we have to do this, the likes of Eddie, the likes of Brandy. We will be running, we will be walking, whatever we will be. All I know is I just want to be fit and making sure that, I'm able to keep up with the pace of my colleagues. And like I told you, even yesterday, it's a fun thing that you can do with your family, with your friends, and even your colleagues. You know why? Because it gives you that good camaraderie and vibes. And also, I want to see some of y'all there, because it's a cool, fun thing. Make sure that you're having a great time. You're also having some good time for your mind and your body. So just keep that in mind. On the 27th of October, of course, this year we will be having the 21st edition of the Stanchart Marathon, and it will be all for a good cause, all entirely for a good cause. So of course, you can register on the website, which is secretariat@nairobimarathon.com, secretariat@nairobimarathon.com. And just stay tuned. You will be seeing my t-shirt, because I'm not playing, man. I will be out there keeping fit and feeling fly while I'm at it. Right, so that mentioned, today is Tuesday, and it is Wellness Way. We look at your, health matters, your wellness aspects, and today we're speaking about protecting your mental health, especially through turbulent times. And with me in studio is the amazing Marianne Waruguru. She is a psychologist, she is a therapist, and she is the founder of Therapy by Marianne. Thank you so much for coming in, Marianne.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you here.
Likewise, I'm glad to be here.
No, we are happy to have you. And we have our question of the day, what we're asking you today. Now, with rising economic pressures and everyday challenges, protecting our mental health is more important than ever. What are some practices you use to maintain mental well-being during tough times? Share your tips with us, right? So our handles on social media are right there on screen, and we have Facebook at K24 TV, X at K24 TV, and our WhatsApp line is right there, like I mentioned, on your screens. Please tell us, what do you do to protect your mental health, especially with this crazy time? There's always something seemingly happening that will disturb your peace, especially with our fast life, with the precious work aspects, whether relationships, whether it is one way or another, So, Marianne, why do you believe we have especially increasing stress? You would think we'd do better in managing, but we don't seem to have the wisdom to do so. Why is it worse?
Yeah, definitely it's worse because of the times that we are living in. We have so many stressors. We have, if you ask someone, the first thing they will tell you it's money, others it's relationships, others it's work. So ideally you find that when we have all this, then people get into a point where we don't want to really deal with that. So either we distract, we numb it, we drink it, we run away, we have sex. We have all these ways of just distracting ourselves other than being able to deal with them. But we're going to learn how to deal with them in a healthier way.
Okay. And what does evading these matters look like in the long run?
Definitely, just like we always say, you will run away, but it will always be there. Meaning, every time you have an emotion, when all these things are happening, someone does something, they tell you something that you didn't like, maybe you have an issue, and then you distract yourself and not deal with it, it goes at your subconscious mind. There is still something there waiting for you, and that's why we usually say when we don't talk about stuff, when you bottle them up, eventually they come out and explode. And then usually you find this can be in different forms. It could be in terms of now the mental illnesses, the anxieties, the depression. Also, you just find maybe you're just taking it out on your children, on your fellow employees and colleagues.
Yeah, and then you become that toxic employee.
Right,
Yeah.
because they didn't do anything to you, and that's why usually people like to say, oh, if you don't heal your wounds, you'll bleed on those who did not cut you.
Exactly, and we have so many autoimmune diseases. You know, it shows up different in women, it shows up different in men. And I once had a doctor say even some forms of cancer are stored up, you know, a lot of stored up emotions.
Right.
And right now we have that in a way that we've never had that in the past.
Yeah, there's something we usually call, when you have an emotion, we say it's energy in motion, meaning whenever you have an emotion, could it be sadness, anger, frustration, anything, there's usually a certain energy that's gotten into your body for you to be able to act on it. But obviously, most of the time we don't deal with it, so that energy keeps getting stored in the different parts, and that's how it manifests even physically. A lot of people go to the hospital thinking they are physically sick, but most of the time it's just mental issues that they haven't been able to address.
And how do doctors now diagnose that? You know, you're a mental health expert, and you deal with a lot of people who show up, the emotions show up in different ways, like I said, in autoimmune diseases and the like. But now are doctors, you know, telling people, listen, you're not unwell the way you may think, because again, we have such a surge, you know, people going to hospital, even like something is paining, you don't know, you don't check in with yourself, right? So are they now telling them, hey, there's something more than this?
Luckily, yes, because we have been able to collaborate with them for those who are more aware about the mental health side of things. But ideally, if you go to a hospital, the doctor wouldn't necessarily tell you, okay, this is depression. They sometimes do the tests. If someone goes with, let's say, a recurring migraine, or they're having stomach upsets, they'll do the test, the lab test, but then usually nothing shows. And then that's when they say, maybe you need to be able to see a psychologist. And some hospitals usually have them in-house, or they consult with them, or now they send them to people like us.
Right. You know, therapy is not, some people would say it's not for everyone. And it's a good thing. Most people are going for it right now, but some people will be like, listen, I've done this 6 months straight, and there's no difference in my life from when I began to now. Why do we have such cases, really?
First of all, I can say everybody needs therapy.
Everyone needs therapy.
If we knew that everybody needs it, even myself, I've done therapy. Because yes, sometimes we can deal with things on our own, but it's important to be able to get help, and especially professional help. However, you find that getting the right fit for a therapist can be hard, in terms of maybe there's something that someone is looking at, maybe they have their own preferences. Sometimes also we have different educational backgrounds. Also, the method of doing the therapy can be different. There are those who prefer talk therapy, we talk about stuff. There are those who prefer to draw, to paint, to go out to nature. So ideally, if maybe something isn't working, maybe it could be the method of therapy. So maybe they can find someone who is more of a good fit. And that's why I usually recommend people, before you get into the therapy, ask them to have a consultation call and just get to find what is their style, so that you can see if it matches yours.
I see. You know, men take it different and women take it different. Most of the time, we even talk to our girlfriends, you know, like, listen, I'm having this crazy day, I don't even know what I'm feeling. But you know, you find it for men, they'll have a good camaraderie, they'll go out with the boys, maybe watch sports, drink beer and all that. But then the speaking, you know, like, this is really my issue, is not there. So how do men take up therapy, and how do women take up therapy?
There's a certain book I love that usually shows the differences between men and women. It's called Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. So ideally you find that when we are going through stuff, we go out and we want to talk to our girlfriends. But when men go through issues, they want to go back to their cave figure it out, and then now they can go out. So that also shows up in the mental health space. And the unfortunate thing is that the highest numbers of suicide and all these mental illnesses are more among men. So we need to be able to break that thing of, oh, men don't cry or they don't talk about problems. They can be able to do that, but in the safe spaces. So even when it comes to therapy, I think even in my experience, I have been a therapist for 7 years and 2 years in private practice. 75% of my clients are usually women, and 25% is men, and most of them don't even go all through the whole process. And sometimes they say that they don't like to talk about their problems. So also what we are learning is, for men, we need more of solution focused therapy instead of being there and, you know, talking about our problems and not finding solutions. Them, they want to know, so what is it that I'm supposed to do? And ideally in therapy, we don't give solutions. So if we are not supporting them to find the solutions, then they'll just ghost us. Actually, clients ghost us. They just disappear and not communicate. And
then you just have this people who were having sessions and then it's just over, just like that.
And they don't tell you, they just disappear.
They just disappear. The same way they disappear out of conversations.
That's what I'm saying, they ghosting.
Right. But you know, we can laugh about this, and it is Suicide Awareness Month. And also today is suicide?
World Suicide Prevention Day.
Prevention Day. Now, this month and day commemorates those who have, you know, lost their lives, the ideation of what suicide is. But you find that most people right now are reaching a place where life feels very hopeless, even if knowing ideally what to do. So the aspect is not your intellect, it's the feeling, right? And how are people supposed to find, you know, the sense of living? We have spirituality, and it's in different forms these days. People believe in different things. But how does that also play a big role in, you know, helping someone just have the hope and the will to live beyond what they feel?
Yeah. If someone really believes in it, then it would ideally work. Because I think I even have a friend who mentioned that he went through the whole depression and anxiety, but then him believing and, you know, being spiritual helped him. However, you also find that people who don't, and there are people who also even say they hate God or they are angry at God for going through all these things. You know?
Where was he?
Exactly, where was he when I was going through this? So yes, it does help if someone has that faith. But if not, there are also people who complain about therapists who use spiritual methods in therapy. They don't want to be preached to, they don't want to be prayed for. So I would say it's a personal thing. Excuse me. So ideally, you just need to find what works for you. There are people also who say, maybe I can't go to therapy, but I can talk to my friends. Maybe I can just write down what I am feeling. There are people who prefer to even work out. You mentioned about the marathon. So just find different avenues to take out whatever you're feeling, but then also find the help that you need, because ideally suicide comes from just that lack of hope. I have tried everything, or also I don't know what to do. So if you can find solutions in all these different places, just go for it.
I see. But you know, the aspect of suicide, for that matter, looks very different in different you know, age groups, right? We have teenagers considering that, and unfortunately others who have gone that route. You know, then we have, you know, people from 21, you know, to mid to late 20s, and then now 30 and above. Everything looks different because the pressures are different, but they're almost the same because of how society is fast. And then also you find our younger people having the pressure to grow up faster, to look like they have experience which they're not supposed to even be considering to have because of where they are in life. Like, everything is a process. So how should generally the public look at what they need to understand about this factor? Because it's misconstrued, but then also someone may think they understand, but they don't.
About suicide?
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, statistics show that suicide is the second leading cause of death among people between 15 and 29, second leading cause. That's very serious. And usually we even say that, you know, we lose a lot of people to suicide. And I can say, especially among people, it's more lack of resilience in terms of whatever we are going through, we don't have that capacity to bounce back. So resilience is your ability to bounce back when you go through something, and a lot of people don't have that.
And why is that?
Usually, I always, as a therapist, I always go back to our bringing. If I wasn't taught how to deal with challenges, if I was brought up in a bubble, if I didn't go through these challenges and taught how to do them, and also just, I usually say that's why it's even important for parents to learn how to deal with their own emotions, so that you can teach your children how to be able to manage them. So if this wasn't there, then they grow up with the same. If I go through something, then I don't know how to handle it, I just think of ending it. And you know, suicide doesn't just come, it starts slowly. You start by being stressed. You get triggered, you get stressed, it piles up. It goes maybe to a mental illness, and then it gets to a point you haven't dealt with that as well. So then it gets to a point where now you start having the ideations, and some people have ideations, they don't really do it, but then others now do it, and then it happens.
It is what it is.
So it's a process. So we need to be able to prevent us getting there earlier on.
All right. I think one of the things that you could mention, because I want to read some of the responses from our viewers, is identifying someone who is in the process, you know, of all that. Because some people say tulishtukia too, and this person didn't show signs. You know, someone may be ecstatically happy. We've even had world famous, you know, entertainers who did not show any sign, but then you find that that is what you know, they decided, you know, they decided to have rather. But we have a couple of your responses. We had asked you earlier, you know, what's your secret to staying mentally strong during tough times? And we have a couple. Thank you so much for interacting with us. Now, we have someone here, Favor Mamake Jr., who says, when you give all to Jesus, he calms all storms in your life. Jesus has been my all in all. All right, thank you, Favor. Kimani Wamasi says, just having enough bundles keeps me entertained. Okay. Mwash Muryuki says, Romans 8:28. And we know that God causes all things to work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. Thank you, Mash. We have Emoit Evans Josephs, who says, praying and reading the Bible and asking God to lead, guide, and take full preeminence and authority over my life. All right. Chris Kalik says, workout and meditation. Yasin Mia says, to read more stories in social media and see what people are doing during tough times. And it's amazing that I learned that what's happening has happened before, and it's happening now, and will never happen again. So nothing is new. Yeah, basically, you know, just saying, okay, my story maybe isn't as bad as so-and-so, you know, so by keeping up with that. And then let me read the last one for now. Kevin O. Combo says, stay strong, pray, never give up. God knows all reasons. So most of our viewers, it's, you know, that spirituality connection to spirituality. And like one of them says, keeping themselves entertained, music and the like. So like I mentioned to you, how can you tell someone is contemplating that and they don't look like they are? They have no signs.
Yeah. That is what we call functional, there's something we call functional depression, functional anxiety, functional alcoholism, where people don't really look like it, and that's because they're trying to mask that. They're trying to hide it because, number one, stigma. We have a lot of stigma around these things, so someone doesn't want to look as if they are going through that. And also lack of awareness, and also just not feeling comfortable to be vulnerable. So I'll come here and say, oh yes, I'm okay and everything is good, I'll go to work, but when I go home, then that's when everything sets in. So ideally what we say in terms of even general cases and mentally, to see the change in some, change usually things like their sleeping pattern, the way they are socializing, either they withdraw now when they used to be so outgoing. Yeah. The eating and sleeping can either increase or decrease depending. Like personally, I eat when I am stressed. I don't have appetite.
Yeah, hormones are just like hormonal eating.
Right. And then also you find there are also changes in terms of their thought patterns. So someone is mostly confused, or there are even some people, I don't know if you've ever seen someone, it's called dissociation, where I'm sitting here but my mind is not here. So it's like nimenda, and then now you call me, and then now I'm like, oh, what are you saying? Yeah. There's that. Yeah. There's also forgetfulness.
Right, Marianne. So just hold on to that thought. We're taking a short break. We'll be back with more of this conversation. Stay with us.
Catch every thrilling moment of the English Premier League. The German FA Cup.